kind of our office. This, like I said, we started off with the base model. I've tinkered with it, and then as you saw, my boss like slapped some stickers on there, a bit of fun with it. Um, we added our logo in the conference room. Obviously, our hope is to kind of like expand on this. Like when I redesign it, I want to add like a garden area and everything. But for right now, like with the way that it's set up, essentially, there's also a Christmas tree over there. Again, my boss having a bit of fun. She like goes and stands over there to let us know that she's going to be walking her dog. So she's like, if you see my avatar by the Christmas tree, I'm walking my dog. So I can't remove that. She would be
You
upset.
know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want her dog to get fewer walks.
Exactly. But so we have these 3 main tables. Typically, like, whoever comes in first in the morning, everybody kind of has their own station that they like. So, we're a 7-member team right now, and so typically what happens is one person each will go to each of the different sections. We have one person who really enjoys the kitchen because he doesn't like to be bothered, so he sits down in the kitchen most of the day. Um, we have another team member who sits up there in the upper right-hand corner in the sofas, and then we do one each at the tables. Sometimes we'll double up if we have, like, a meeting right away in the morning. And then we also really like to take advantage of that two-person table that's at the top, and I like that once it's full, it locks and no one else can walk up. Um, so we use that quite a bit as well. And we've been using the conference room,
Sure.
so we completely stopped using Google Meet. And we've pretty much stopped using phone calls as well. Like if we need something from someone, we go up to them in Cosmos. Um,
And is that for
internal.
internal or external meets as well?
Yeah, internal. So we floated the idea of moving this to external as well. We have a couple of clients that we feel like would be receptive to having meetings. First of all, I want to get the office designed first. I want it to look a little bit more us. But second of all, our concern was we have a couple of clients who are a bit eccentric, and we don't want them to be like, oh, this is fun. I'm going to stay all day.
So when did you start using Cosmos?
We started right around the first of the year. So basically, what happened was we were in the process of onboarding 2 new team members who were, our entire team has been fully remote since the onset of the pandemic, but we also did remote at least 2 days a week, even before. So we're no stranger to remote. But what we were stranger to is having to fully onboard somebody remotely. So they both live in like different areas of the states. So, um, it wasn't possible for us, and we wanted to have a really engaging onboarding and set them up for success in the best way possible, and we saw that we struggled with that over the course of the pandemic and the full remote, that it was really hard to get people engaged with the team, when we weren't available to them the way that we would be in a traditional office. So I was just kind of poking around, looking at different softwares that we could use. My initial thought was like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna stay on a Google Meet 8 hours a day, and just if they need something, they can unmute. Um, and I eventually actually happened upon a LinkedIn post that had mentioned Cosmos. Um, so I clicked it, I kind of opened it, and I'm not gonna lie to you, me and my entire team were like giddy. It was insane. The first day that we were using it, like I got to set up and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And so like I just kept telling my teammates, I was like, okay, you have to come to this link. Like, don't ask me questions, just come to the link and I'll see you there. And everyone was kind of like, okay, like what is she doing this time? And as people came in, like they were getting really giddy about it too. And so like we were all just like really, really excited and passionate about it from like our just like little internal like test of it. And so then when it came to onboarding, we've gotten the feedback from the 2 team members that we did bring on, that they've really enjoyed having that level of access to us where you can kind of just walk up, say something, and it's like you're at a desk. And our boss has actually taken it to the owner of the company. She's taken it to the next level, and she leaves her cell phone available all day long. She's like, if I was in an office, I would technically be available all day long. So why don't I do that here? Most of us stay on listening. Um, but yeah, so everybody's kind of really leaned into it.
That's really cool to hear. So you originally took on Cosmos to solve an onboarding problem you have.
Mhm.
Would you say that Cosmos helped you solve other problems that you kind of discovered along the way when you tried this out? Like, why did you continue using us post that onboarding stage?
So I think so. I think that it just allowed us all to have a little bit more access to each other, but without it being invasive. So we did have one of our team members that was a little bit hesitant about Cosmos because he was concerned that it was going to be invasive, that it was going to be, bothersome during the day because he was somebody who hadn't ever come to the office with us. Um, but the level of flexibility that you have with either being available, listening, or away really allows like everybody to kind of go to their own level of comfort. And there's enough space in here that you can spread out so you're not constantly bumping into each other. Um, I do think that like I would redo the layout a little bit in our next one, but that's besides the point. Um, but it's made communication internally a lot easier. It's a lot easier to just kind of like walk over to somebody else's table and put yourself on available than and then be able to broadcast and say, "Hey, like, can you join us at table 3? Like, we're chatting about this." Then having to like pick up the phone and be like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna conference Paula." And then it's like easier to gauge reactions because you have cameras on. And it feels as close to an in-person office environment as we felt in the last 2 years.
That's really cool to hear.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess from this, you've kind of summarized like how your team feels about using Cosmos. Do you have like, and you've got a pretty strong like emotional response to this is a it's pretty nice to hear. That's what
Yeah.
we're aiming.
It's fun, right? Because you have that level of, like, interactivity with your space that you would have in a traditional office where you get to decorate it, like, you kind of get to play around with, like, your desk. So, initially, it started where we were like I was like, "Desk 2 is my desk," and so I decorated it how I wanted it to be decorated. Now we kind of have a little bit more freedom of movement. We bop around a lot more. Um, but and it's also just that kinda so cool to kinda see what everybody's up to too, you know what I mean? Like, you can look and be like, "Oh, they're talking right now. He's walking here." And, like, it just allows you to feel again, like, as close as you can feel to being in person without actually being in person. And I also like you guys recently added the little chat bubble so you can actually see who's talking at certain times, and that's cool too.
Yeah, no, that was intentional. We found ourselves having the same problem where you'd be kind of like, people are sitting around in the desk, are they just kind of co-working together or are they actually talking? And it just makes the map feel just a little more lively.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Um, so how would you describe Cosmos to like someone who has no idea about what the product is?
That's a really good question. I when the honest answer, the not put together answer is I'm always like, it is a very, very cool virtual office tool. But I feel like the actual way to describe it would be more so saying that it's kind of like somewhere in the middle of an in-person office experience and an online tool for collaboration. So you have that perfect marriage of what you get from a video conferencing tool and from working at home, which is at least still a little bit of privacy and a little bit of flexibility, married with the accessibility that you have in an office to each other.
Yeah, it's pretty close to what we do for it as well. Um, so could you talk a little bit about your like daily workflow in Cosmos? Does everyone come in at the same time for a particular meeting or like
So I was gonna say, I have a feeling that shortly you're gonna start seeing people flood in because it's almost 9 a.m. here. Yeah, I mean, at 9 a.m., everybody pretty much like walks into the office, finds their seat, figures out where they're going for the day. Typically, we touch base in the mornings. So you'll see, people kind of like gathering at different tables. Sometimes they'll go into conference rooms. Um, and then from there, um, during the day, like things just kind of disperse, right? Like if these people need to meet, they meet. If they don't, they don't. Um, A lot of times during lunch, people will take lunch breaks, so you'll see them go on away, and then around 5 o'clock, or depending on when people are wrapping up their day, then they just exit Cosmos. So we use it really like a real office. It's like you come in at 9, you leave at 5.
Cool. And I guess from that, do you still have an office in the physical world, or?
So we don't have like a dedicated office space, but we do have a co-working space here in South Florida. Um, as I mentioned, not all of our team members like are accessible to that office. But we try to go about once a week to that in-person office. And those of us that go in person still log into Cosmos. So yeah, so even while we're in the in-person office, we have Cosmos up and running. If we're usually it's 2 to 3 of us that go in person, we'll sit at different tables so that you don't get into like a feedback situation. But and most of the time too, right? So like if someone comes over to talk to me, then and they need to talk to my colleague will just scoot over. They'll scoot over instead of kind of bringing their avatar order over just to avoid like a feedback situation. Um, but we still very much so use Cosmos when we're in the physical office.
Interesting here. And actually, it's one of those things where there's probably a whole bunch of features we should build out around that.
Yeah, right? Like, as people return to the office and maybe some are in the office and some aren't, like, having having the availability for people who are in the office to be in, like, either a specific area or a way for that feedback to not happen.
I guess finally, because I appreciate that it is the start of your day here as well. And
I was gonna say, it's actually perfect though, right? Because 'Cause you're getting to see exactly what we talked about.
um, so is there any like negatives or problems that you've been having with Cosmos?
Um, I'm not sure. Actually, I have my colleague here. Do you think that there's any negatives with Cosmos so far?
Hmm.
I mean, sometimes it feels like people have a bit too much access. Like we get a little bit self-conscious sometimes if we're just on chatting. So we'll be
Yeah.
a little bit like, "Oh, I wonder if they're gonna be thinking that we're just, like, not working," you know what I mean? Instead of, like, when you're just on the phone and you start, like, off chatting, it's like nobody knows.
Technicality-wise, I wouldn't really say, like,
Yeah.
any problems with the accessing anything or no.
No, I don't think so. I mean, like, you saw when I was just, like, trying to redecorate there a little bit and remove those stickers, like, you kinda rock it wherever you go to X out the stickers, so that's, like, a bit, but I would love to have a little bit more flexibility too. I told this to the other team. I was like, I'd love to have a little bit more flexibility in designing the office on my own, on my end. But that's also because like we work with like graphic design tools, so I feel like we understand it. The average person probably wouldn't care about that. But I think that everything else, like
Yeah.
technical wise, like works pretty smoothly.
I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. That's really great to hear.
Yeah.
Um, well, I think that's the list of questions that I would like to ask you. Just
Okay.
want to say thank you so much for taking the time to go through this with
Of
this.
course. No worries. And thank you so much for your patience again. So sorry for showing up so late.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a good one. Bye.